Attention gamers, every few months when Riot needs to distract its player base away from a lawsuit that would make them look bad or the fact that active user numbers are dropping faster than a dead man's body temperature, they release the ERF game mode, a limited time piss fest where everyone essentially has no cooldowns and it is just an ADHD TikTok era attention span ability spamming cheap dopamine simulation bloodbath for 15-minute intervals. It's fun, but they won't make it a permanent game mode because over time it would ruin the integrity of the Rift having things like a Lux ult on a 16 seconds cooldown. Until you realize that in normal Summoner's Rift aka not ERF real f***ing games we're talking, you can now get a 12 seconds Lux cooldown because of some nepotism hire at Riot's genius idea to put ability haste on almost every item in the game. This has become such a problem that it's getting attention on the sex-deprived mall cop moderated subreddit, and even Riot employees are having to step in and say okay we hear you, we just don't care. The main response basically consists of hey, we are undoing a bad decision we made 2 years ago, everyone praise us, while pulling my wife's argument tactics out in the rest of their reply. You see, I will go to my wife and say hey, why would you spend $200 on a curtain, you know YouTube doesn't pay me, when I say things like twinkle shit, and her argument is always, yeah, but there was a $400 one that I could have bought instead. This is basically what Riot is saying, as they are like, yeah, I know ability haste creep is a huge problem, but hey, it's better than damage creep. The only difference in this analogy is that in this case it would be like my wife saying hey, at least I didn't buy the $400 curtain, while in reality I see the f***ing $400 curtain in her hands, but I rest my case. I'm sure there's some ice-bathing motivational speaker out there spewing some bullshit about adapting to when life gives you lemons that can ult every 9 seconds you make millions off a pyramid scheme businesses and sell it to incels online. So in today's video I'm going to show how ability haste builds on 2 specific champs have gotten completely out of control in an attempt to make Riot return the $200 curtains and start shopping at budget-conscious places in the future. Alright, so game 1, I decide to play Morgue so that I can put people in one, as the only thing worse than sitting in a 3 seconds bind is being asked to sit in another one right after. But I look at my bewitched bitch Misfortune and say careful girl, that waterbender makes them age faster, but if she was intelligent enough to understand that meant they'd be 3 first and looking to fight, she wouldn't need those big fake tits. So I tuck Gramps into bed before prepping for the sickest outplay you'll see all day. Anyways, I'm pathing back to lane like I forgot which road to take when I witness a little bit of tomfoolery in the jungle, so I'm like MF come, and she's like if we kill it we will be cancelled like the Cincinnati Zoo, so I have to say fuck your feelings, let's cop this bag. We have one of those mind-controlled berserking Matildas as our jungler, which means I need to be on high alert for inting idiot syndrome, but thanks to a friendly neighbor Hiroshima bomb the first one goes down, leaving just that elo inflated geriatric raven breeder. Harambe does join the party only to attempt an Irish exit, which basically starts one of those gay parade lines at weddings where everyone is holding on to the hips of the person in front of them, marching around like drunk idiots until we eventually cha-cha slide all over that ape's dead corpse. Back in bot I'm thinking if I tie up the old man it'll be funny, while my bunkie is like okay I'll stand still and make a lot of noise, which turns the whole thing into a certified fuck fest. So thank the Lord it just so happened to be my 6th birthday, and I'm not one to ask for a lot, but a double homicide to my name was in my head when I was blowing my candles out. I'm just watching Wednesday Addams arm wrestle a dragon when George gets a bit too curious, so I tie him up and play a quick game of I don't need to see you to shit in your mouth. At this point I'm so fed a single fart could fuel a factory, so I decide to just walk in like I own the goddamn place, you know, whip out the BDSM orgy chains I packed and pace around. I'm a bit mad at myself for not committing on Katara, but Swain was all for sucking while MF managed to miss a 60-foot wide ult on a stun target. He turns into a lava lamp gargoyle while his butt buddy dies, and then we chase to put him back in base. Now here's the thing, I know I'm a bot laner, but when I hear that a 6,000-pound scuttle crab named Rosie is going to be slap battling people in the Northern River, I'm packing my prom gown and heading up there, and if any other support decides to do that same thing he's gonna have to wait his turn in Fountain. Let the record show that I planned on leaving the ladies there, but when I saw a Briar ult I knew she would be attending the party whether she liked it or not, so I recommitted reenacting my favorite scene from Golden Girls. Fucking awful show by the way, if you like it you disgust me, please unsub. Anyways, 1 donated Q later we eventually kill the weaponized Stephen Hawking before Briar does Briar things and dies. Once I get my mythic on Morg, I just buy a bunch of codexes because at that point if you land 1 Q you can literally keep someone CC'd for the rest of their life until they pass away. The plan was to join up with Sweeney Todd's stepdaughter to scan for Wi-Fi signals, but Swain was looking like a snack, so I stopped by for a second. Then as I was chasing this sophisticated ape upriver, he was like, "Hey look, I'm scripting," and then Briar was like, "Yeah, but Riot themselves wrote my scripts," as she just turns auto fight on and wins. Understandably he wants nothing to do with the newest champ, can't hate him for that, but my job as a bitchy bride is to make sure that doesn't happen as I inject him with 2 cc's of dead bitch Botox. The boys are getting barren, but giant erect flailing purple dick looking objects brings up some rough college memories for me, so I decide to stay on the defense because while I may only be a support, I already have the ability to make sure this Autobots rabbit can only move for 1 second at a time between my stuns. Anyways, a minute later and we are just filming episode 19 of Wukong gets caught out, and now we all want to stick things up his asshole as he pulls of a pretty slick juke, I've gotta say, but unfortunately my Q cooldown is up 2 seconds later, so fool me once, shame on me, no fooling me twice, because Riot added absurd amounts of ability haste to the game. Fast forward, I'm picking a wedgie in some privacy while waiting for MF to run up so I can be like, "Okay, I will make them sit still, you just have to ult and not die this time," and she's like, "Got it boss," but in reality she was really just like, "I'm still a dumb shit boss, carry me we." I'm still looking for no good in the jungle neighborhood when I receive a notification that a teammate will be joining me, so I prepare myself for a total fuckfest as one should do when Briar lands an ult. Weaponized Stephen Hawking dies, then I put the albino gun slut in a timeout to think about why her pathing was wrong there. I opt out of water bending practice and then I say, "Hey, let's trade your 3-minute cleanse for my 3 seconds bind cooldown." She agrees to it like an uneducated peasant. We all cosplay the Cincinnati Zoo one more time, and yeah, perma-stunning kids on Morgana in a non-Earth mode is totally fair. So yeah, that was game 1, but for round 2 I called Jarvan 3 up and asked if his son could help me make a point. He was like, "But you never have played this champ," and I was like, "Exactly." What this means is that on the very first play I would help my top laner type Worth in chat after being tapped under tower before chasing for the double while saying to myself, "E then Q, E then Q, just chase him down and then E then Q." Bruh. So yes, I figured if I popped all the way off on a champ I've never played before because he has essentially no cooldowns after 2 items, it will prove this is stupid. And if you don't believe my lack of work experience on the old Jarvi, then please see Exhibit F entitled "Rav cancelled his fucking ult and almost lets 2 sure things get away, but they don't, because at the end of the day they are still useless bot laners." That said, I feel like I'm doing good minus the fact that top is getting pushed in more than a bop it button, but I have a quick date with the Darius inside my private volcano, and then I inform Rabbit Ralph that the scratch tantrums won't be tolerated. King Spin to win was kicking asses, taking names, flexing that he was over 2 years older than everyone else on the Rift at this point, and while I know my first time Jarvi gameplay is painful to watch, it could be worse. Just look at this Janna. But this is silver, so a giant fight over the dragon that won't be up for 4 more minutes is naturally about to break out, but little do they know I was rubbing out a bit of morning wood in the tall weeds here, so I come out with some terrain that will make any chubby caterpillar claustrophobic while my own team's ADC equally gets butt fucked before I make like a tampon and get out of this bloody hole. Turns out you dangle a low health tower in bot laners' eyes, they are too distracted to look at anything else like their mini-map, so I ask Vex to fire a warning ult in the area, and then I put them both in the playpen and wait patiently for her short ass legs to wobble over to the action. I'm a tank, so I do little damage, and Cog is an ADC, so he does even littler damage, so he eventually heads out early while my 2 co-workers deal with the pretty fartmonger. Anyways, with apparently just these 2 items and some tier 2 Nikes, you can have 2 flags on the ground at once, which is dank, but I guess in the grand scheme of things it's not as cool as the fact that a Deadheimer can have like 4 turrets down at once, so he gets the double kill, and in the end I just have to settle for the sloppy seconds on the floaty pink sauce girl, who isn't exactly a challenge to kill at this point. And what I've learned in this game was that playing jungler is like raising a bunch of blind flamingos. You feed them, take care of them, make sure they are safe, but the second you take your eye off of one, it's finding just about any way possible to get itself killed, leaving you to clean up the mess. That said, I'm definitely enjoying the amenities of being a fed bruiser, as I can tunnel vision onto the objectives without worrying about how many variants of spin to win the other team has, as I am taking almost negative amounts of damage in these fights while having enough ability haste to plant flags on each dead corpse that the midget Billie Eilish produces for us. We decide to all group up in a bush as I figure if it's warded no one would possibly walk into it, but Garen players are to never be underestimated in the intelligence department, so I put the fidgety spinners in a volcano before I realize that the dunk master may leave me deceased, so I flash out, hit a shield, snort some rift berries and then reunite with the boys just in time to do my favorite thing ever, make an ADC go back to base. One last fight breaks out and I'm kind of just pacing around thinking about all the shit I need to do before school tomorrow until I see Cog and claim my free sack of cash. Then when the squishy punching bags have left the party, things start to get a bit shit, which is where the clip from the intro comes in. As you all know, I now clearly have no clue how to play this champ, but even then the ability for me to unfuck myself like 6 times with a QE combo that is ready to be touched more than a cheap whore on a street corner just makes this game feel like Earth. And while I personally think we just say hey, let's reduce every ability haste value by half and immediately have a better fix for a problem, I'll let Riot spend a bunch of skin sales money to try to figure out a more complicated alternative that will ruin something else instead. Anyways, buy my course on how to buy courses and be rich or some shit. Mousepads coming soon, Rav out.